realizing that you're not the body, then the body becomes more of a tool as opposed to a source of identification. And once it becomes a tool, you can master that tool in so many ways. You know, you basically have mastery. We have so little mastery of this body. We have so little knowledge. We're so ignorant, really.
So what kind of mastery would we want to have?
When you deeply understand how the body works, and this is not at an intellectual level, of course, at an experiential level, when there's an intimate understanding, and in that knowing, you can do profound things with your body because you're no longer a servant to it. You know, a little bit of cold, I don't like it. A little bit of hot, too hot. But once you have some understanding of how it works, you can withstand a lot more things.
Right.
You can also just with your attention alone change things around, slow things, fast things up, because you're not identified with it anymore. You know, it's like very much like if you have, again, I go back to the car. You know, once you become really good at driving the car, you can do some pretty amazing things with it.
Right.
But if you have no idea how a car works, you're probably a very dangerous driver.
Yes. It's a good analogy, yes.
Yeah.
I know, I've heard slow drivers are the most dangerous
Yes,
people
they
in the
are.
world.
I agree there.
Well, beginner help play. And I think many people don't need that.
Right.
But that seems to be the go-to reason when people start to become curious about how the body works.
Yeah.
It usually takes a crisis.
Yes. It's so common.
Yeah.
I think it's common in people's lives and also in world situations. It's always the extreme things that make us react and go the other way a little bit, and hopefully towards balance.
Now, is that because we're not awake and not conscious? Is it because we're just kind of sleepwalking through life?
Most people are.
I had the opportunity to hike the Himalayas, going back several years now, and people, you climb the Himalayas, you know? Like climbing up is the big deal. The climbing up is not a very big deal, actually. You just take a step at a time. It's going down that's way more dangerous. Because then you lose focus because you're going down. There's a bit of ice, some loose pebbles, and boom, you can hit yourself really hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of us kind of don't pay attention when life is good.
Right.
And in a lot of modern society, life is good. When it's so good, you don't tend to pay attention. You know, you don't pay attention to how the body is working. You don't really pay attention to the effects we're having outside because life is good. You know, so it's only when you hit that little slip of ice or the little pebble and you fall on your ass and you realize that all that you thought was so secure and sound is actually not that secure and sound. That's when life calls you to kind of re-examine all those beliefs and ideas that you took for granted.
Or that contrast also shows you that it
Sure.
was good.
Yeah,
And now
it was
it's not.
so good. And also kind of, for me at least, revealed to what is essentially important. And, you know, and all the things that I was not appreciating. Simple things. You know, the breeze on my skin right now, the sun on my face,
Yeah.
the ability to see lights and colors and hear sounds. And in the near-death experiences, I realized that all these are very impermanent. So last we were talking about the idea of suffering is resistance to what is. I find that to be a very good theme. That was a game changer for me.
Is suffering necessary?
I think this is what the ancients asked themselves. I think that was the doorway into the exploration. Why do we suffer? And what is the nature of suffering? And is it necessary? I think they came up with the understanding that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. You know? You know?
So true.
Yeah, pain we've all been through. Suffering might be optional. And as a little one-on-one thing, again, when we look at things like anger, frustration, guilt, resentment, depression, they're all in the past. That's all the mind saying, coulda, woulda, shoulda, he's so bad, she's so good, you know, that didn't happen, that should have happened. And when you look at things like fear, phobia, stress, anxiety, they're all the mind rolling in the future. So that kind of suffering is totally optional. You can choose to run around in that field, or you can choose to just hang out in the present moment where the two cannot exist. And if there's any free will at all, I'd imagine that this would be a definition of free will, the option to not suffer. You know? And that's maybe what yoga, in a broader sense, offers us, an option to not suffer.
So what's really interesting to ask ourselves is how can we do that when more and more our lifestyle and technology is taking us away from ourselves? So I'll give an example. Maybe, I don't know, I know this is really not cool or popular to say this, but I think of how I'm not commonly I'm on Facebook, but I choose not to have the app. I don't get the notifications. I only get my notifications when I log on my computer. Very old school, I know. But I like that freedom. I like that, not being pulled into something that takes me away from the
Like
moment
literally
and
no
awareness.
tentacles on you, you know?
Yeah.
So
Nothing pulling you in.
social media, the screen itself is not good or bad. It just is. It's the craftsmanship behind pulling you in. A lot of intense psychological research has been done in the art of pulling you in.
So craftsmanship or marketing?
Same thing.
Marketing craftsmanship. It's all based on tremendous research on how to create that addictive sensation.
Right.
This is why people keep scrolling and liking and sharing that kind of stuff, and looking for the next comment or whatever post. And it's based on high science, but basically what it's doing is creating a sensation of craving or aversion, and that's how the system works.
And fear of missing out, or
The fear would be an aversion. I don't want this, or the fear, or craving would be I want. So once you understand that that's the game that's being played, but the game is not being played on the screen. It's being played inside the body.
Right.
It's our reactions that keep us addicted to it. And once you're able to see it without becoming it, and that's kind of what the practice allows us. As you practice awareness, you become aware of addiction as it comes. So instead of saying I want, it more becomes like there is wanting. Instead of saying I am angry, there is anger. So it's a very small change in words, but a huge difference in experience. And just in that little gap, now there's free will to whether you want to continue with that or go in some opposite direction. But we don't have that gap to even see it. And that's where we get sucked into the wanting, not wanting. And that's why these addictive tools work so well, because of the skill of being aware of this. And when you're aware of it, you can choose, do I need to have the bar of chocolate? Do I need to smoke that cigarette? Do I need to go to that awesome event, that everybody's going to?
I think awareness is really key, like the first step, but I think that we can still be aware and engaging in that. So for example, I'll be on Facebook or, I don't know, reading this blog leading me to there, the endless links, and hearing myself say, oh, it's been half an hour. Oh, it's been an hour. You know where this is headed. Just stop now. Okay, but just one more. Okay, I just want to get to the end of this, and then it never ends. But you're suggesting that by just being aware of our thoughts and our processes, that it gives us an opportunity to use or engage with, whatever technology and lifestyle, but still have boundaries.
But it gives us a sense of mastery over it. So it becomes a very valuable tool. Facebook is like the mind. It's a valuable tool and a hopeless master. If it's mastered, right?
That's good.
It's a disaster. But as a tool, it's very helpful. A lot of great information, a lot of great content, people putting up great things. So as a tool, it's useful.
We're connecting, which we weren't able to do before.
That's it.
You can build communities. There's a lot of good.
Yes.
And yet being fully aware of what it is, and the mechanics behind it and how it works. Once you understand the game of Facebook, you're better able to play it. Now there's two things. If you don't understand the rules and you play it, then you can get played.
For sure.
Because it's designed for you to get hooked on it. Or you can say, I don't care to understand the rules, I don't care to play it, I'm heading another direction. In which case, you're making a conscious decision to miss out on this tool that everybody's in and communicating, collaborating, co-creating. And a lot of my great networking and a lot of my great connections have happened through Facebook. It's a tremendously good tool as long as you know how it works. Facebook is just one example.
Fascinating. So, can I ask you, in terms of purpose, because I do get the sense that you have a clear purpose, and of course purpose always evolves, but did you always know didn't your purpose kind of come together through that experience, combined with that experience, with a bit of sprinkle of that and this and that, or how conscious how consciously are we engaging with our purpose or creating our purpose?
You know, I think we're all different in our stories. There are some people who are just born farmers or born piano players, and that's just how it is. You know, from day one, they're extraordinary in what they do. And for some of us, it's a more evolved process of living an examined life when you actually. And for me, it was the latter. You know, when I had to actually bend back on my life experience and see what it pointed to. And you know, there was one definitive experience in my life when I was speaking with my Iranian friend in Kuwait in the Middle East, and he was talking about his friend in Tehran, in Iran, and his friend hated school, did not have any interest in education whatsoever, so he was just goofing off all the time and just diving in the ocean. He loved diving, just deep sea diving. And when he got bored, he went to visit his father in an oil rig that was way in the desert. And he spent time, and that's all he did. In the present days, he gets over $1 million per assignment. There's about 5-6 assignments per year. And he's one of the world's foremost authorities in downhole repair for offshore oil rigs. So the question I asked myself is he the best diver in the world? Probably not, but he's really good. Is he the best oil expert mechanic in the world? Probably not, but he's pretty good. I put the two together, you get something that's so uniquely him that nobody else can touch it, because he was almost designed for that.
Right.
So with that, I kind of asked myself that question. Am I the best yoga teacher in the world? Probably not, objectively good. Am I the best engineer in the world? Probably not, objectively competent. Best speaker in the world? Probably not, objectively good. But you put them all together, it became crystal clear that my role was to actually build a bridge between the yoga world and the corporate world, because I was an engineer for so many years. And that's how my first company, Bodhi, came to be. So you basically take a snapshot of all your skill sets, experiences, and assets, and what does it point to? Not just one thing, but all of it. And it's not there for no reason. There's a reason why somebody is good at the piano, somebody is good at speaking, somebody is good at cooking, somebody is good at gardening. So it's not accidental. The question is being aware of what that is, and if we can use that to serve people and make a living out of it, now that's dharma. That's you don't work a day in your life.
So can I ask you, I think that more and more, because we're through globalization and because we have access to so much knowledge and information and tools, and we're more multi-talented, I think, than we've ever been. So what process did you go through to really narrow it down to those things? I'm sure you have other talents or things that you love to do or be. How did it come to those three things?
I think it's a very good question to really ask ourselves, what are we doing in our spare time? What are we drawn to? You know, what videos are we watching? You know, or who are we following?
Right.
And that's going to give you a clue as to where your bliss is.
That's right.
Are you following fashion designers? Are you following master chefs? You know, are you following TV directors? It'll give you a clue as to where your passion is.
That's right.
You know, so
I love that. So even when you're not doing it, even what's capturing your interest, you know, what's like piquing your interest.
Yeah, that's probably where your bliss is. That's probably where you will be thriving. It doesn't mean that you'll become a film director or a fashion designer necessarily, but being in that industry, or at least starting somewhere. You know, this idea, start somewhere, follow it everywhere. You know where the starting point is. That's a huge thing. You know, and just kind of see where that goes. And you know, I started this journey of being a yogipreneur 16 years ago. I had no idea where it was going to go. And 99% of the people I'm working with and I'm close to right now didn't exist 16 years ago. So things kind of fall into place and navigate themselves as long as you start and you know where the next steps are. So many people are waiting to see the whole path before they take the first step.
Right.
And you'll just be a pure potential. But if you know roughly where you want to go and where the next step is, good enough. And the next step and the next step. And before you know it, you turn back. It's like, wow, all that happened? The whole idea of Daana, it really, the way it was born, showed that it doesn't belong to any one person. It belongs to us all. So the way it came from the students, it really set the theme of how it wants to be and how we're all kind of stewarding and looking after this beautiful intention. And yeah, that's kind of my take on it. Yes, there was a conscious intention of contribution based. I know that's the right way to do it, but the way I was approaching it was off. And I did not know a better way. It took a death of sorts for that to arise, because I was too stubborn or too blind to see it.
sort of like when you get to a fork and then you have to choose. And I mean, one path ended, but then others opened up.
Yeah, and all I saw was the path ending.
Right.
Is just life saying, hey, check this out. I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. And then from that, boom, you know, I'm so sincerely grateful that there's so many people benefiting from this simple twist on the road that I never saw. The marriage of ancient wisdom with modern technology. You know, that was all, none of that was intended. It was not a conscious thing. It just happened step by step, you know, spontaneously as it was arising. Because version 1 was me, dollar store box, going house to house, you know, hugging the people, grabbing the box, going, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And then more and more people got involved, and collectively we decided, let's do a crowdfunding campaign to raise the funds. And collectively we decided the funds go to this person to build a website and the app. So it was all built by the people, and the crowdfundings, people from around the world, like Hong Kong, Amsterdam, Dubai, funding this project. They'd never heard about us.
And it is an international project too, though, right? So it's not limited to one place.
Global Daana, absolutely. The intention is global, not only global in terms of this reality, but long after I'm gone, it can keep on serving generations.